The recent YouTube update had some really nice changes, especially for accessibility, but some of the changes were not so nice. What did you think of the update? Did you find it a little bit more accessible or a little less accessible? Let me know in the comments. But let's go ahead and go over those updates and talk about it. Hey, if you're new to the channel, I'm Carrie on accessibility, and I talk about technology and accessibility. So if you're interested in that type of video, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you can be notified every time I upload a video. These updates were made for iOS and Android, and so let's jump on to my phone and I'll share my screen and we can go over these updates. So I think the biggest update that I really like is if you have a video on full screen. On the screen right now I have my reading mode video talking about Google's new accessibility app, but now what you can do is actually pinch to zoom on the video. So if you have it on full screen, you can just pinch to zoom and you can move one finger around the screen and look around. And I think this is super helpful when you're looking at tutorials, right? And you want to see the detail of whatever they're showing. And that could be if they're sharing their screen, like in this video. And if you want to like look closer at my screen, you can totally do that just by pinching in. And I think that's huge. Of course, there's always magnification, but for me, it's easier to use pinch to zoom. It's also just easier to use one finger to move around the screen than having to use two. In this frame of the video, there's a screen recording on the left side, and if you just pinch your fingers outward, you can zoom in, move your finger and pan, and it makes it so much easier to see things on the screen on YouTube videos. And sometimes, you know, you just want to look at people's faces because they're just too small, and this is a way you can do that. Or take a look at people's backgrounds and things like that. I think this is my favorite accessibility update from YouTube. The next one will have to be the fact that dark mode is now a lot darker. Before it was kind of a gray color background, and now it's, I don't know if this is a black or a very dark gray. And for me, who uses dark mode, and I really like higher contrast, and it's just so hard to see anything that's like dark text on a light background, especially black on white. That's just so hard for me to see. This is really helpful, and I really like the new dark mode. Update 3 is now when you're on a video, so I'll go ahead and select the video. There's now this type of ambient like blur right below the video, and for me, it doesn't really bother me. I think that it's really subtle, and so I don't really think it impacts me accessibility wise. All across the YouTube app, buttons are now more rounded, and I think that this is a nice design change. I like this design change, though I don't really think it's that huge of an impact accessibility wise. You can especially see right here near the top all these categories like the all and the new to you. These are more rounded buttons now. Even the subscribe button and the join button, they're like rounded. Which brings us to the next update, the fact that the subscribe button is now white. It's a white rounded button. So this is what it looks like right there. I zoomed into it and I missed the red. I don't mind the shape, but I miss the red. Now the join button is also white. Part of the missing the red is because I just like the red subscribe button. It's very iconic, but also the fact that now I actually have to read the button to know if it's a channel I've subscribed to or if there's a join button. And you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I thought I already subscribed to that person or that channel, and no, I actually did, and it just says join, and it just looks the same to me unless I zoom in, and I just wish I didn't have to do that. And it just adds another step when things already take me a lot longer than somebody who could just glance at the screen. There's now also no unsubscribe button. Let's say I do subscribe to this person. I don't even know who this is. This is just a random video. There's just a bell, and by the way, this bell is hard to see. I wish they could make it another color. And so if I tap on that bell, now if we move down, we'll be able to see that there is an unsubscribe link list item here. I kind of don't mind that unsubscribe is buried, but I wish it was easier to see the bell. I wish they could make that bell easier to see. Icon is really thin for me, and it's hard for me to kind of see it until I zoom and like look for it. And for me, the way I use magnification is I have display size and font size really big, and I just go by color. And this is why like the red subscribe button means a lot to me, because it's a different color. I can just judge things by certain colors and certain shapes, and I don't necessarily have to read it. It's a lot more effort. Again, it's just that extra effort that I have to go to be able to navigate and access the same information that somebody who can see can just like right away just know what it says because they can read it that fast. It just takes me a longer time. And so the next update is still in the same line. The row of icons right under the videos are just harder for me to see. I don't know if it's just me, maybe, it doesn't really impact other people, but this row of icons with the like, dislike, these icons are smaller than they used to be. And for me, horizontally scrolling menus are just really hard for me to deal with. They're so hard because I have to triple tap, look at these icons, and then like slowly move across, and it just takes me forever to have to read these. It's also hard to tap on them because they're shorter, whereas before they were more of a square block, whereas like now all the elements are just so much smaller and they all look the same. I feel like it's harder for me to use, and I wish that they did not make this update in this way. Or another idea is if somebody has their screen zoom or display zoom at max, that these icons will also become larger. If you're using Talkback and you tap on the title,
updated YouTube tips to stop doing in 2023. 57K views 5 days. Agassi hashtag YouTube strategy videos. See hashtag YouTube tips videos 3 period more.
It tells you all of that. And if you double tap there, and if you use Explore by Touch, you can find description. It's under the video player.
Drag handle button. Close button. YouTube tips to 4.3K likes. 57,000. December 12th. Hashtag YouTube strategy button.
So these are all the same information that you already read.
Hashtag YouTube 6 outdated tips that'll ruin your YouTube channel growth. Please don't make these mistakes this year.
So it looks like Talkback reads the whole description, but visually there's only a snippet of the description and then there's a more. So you can actually double tap on this and it will expand it. Unfortunately, Talkback still acts the same way with descriptions. It's not that great because it'll read the whole description to you, and then if you keep swiping right, then it'll go through like each link and just like random sections, I feel. Whereas when you're on the web or somewhere else, it's like just goes in order. It says the text, then the link, then more text, and then the next link. And I don't know why the descriptions on YouTube have been this way forever and they still haven't changed it, and I hope that in future YouTube updates they're able to fix this problem. Now there's a new scrub feature that I have not been able to make work with Talkback very reliably, but if you put your finger right under the video bar, a seat controller, and you swipe up, then you will get this new feature where you can actually be more precise with what part of the video you want to go to. I don't really use this feature very much, but I think they should definitely make this accessible somehow. That's pretty much all the YouTube updates and how they are with accessibility and my thoughts on them. What do you guys think of these new updates? Leave that in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And if you want to know more about technology and accessibility, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.